Welcome, professional wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us for episode 27. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about this week. Good, bad, sad, unfortunately, and everything in between. I am your host with the most, the old school wrestling fan, the collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcasts, Andy.
I'm also your host and no-selling wrestling indie fan, Jeremy.
You guys hear that? That was me kissing my ass this week. You hear that intro? That was good. Yeah,
it was different.
Brought something new.
Something new, yeah. Switched it up a little bit. Okay, anyway. Today we are going to be talking about Dolph Ziggler becoming the new NXT champion, Stone Cold accepting Kevin Owens' challenge, Jeff Hardy debuting in AEW, a wrestling legend unfortunately being in critical condition, and Big E's broken neck. What a week. There was definitely a lot of stuff to go over this week. Before we get into any of that, please head on over to our YouTube channel where all of our episodes are available. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. That would be amazing. For t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan. Well, let's get through all that stuff. Andy, what do you say you get the show started for us, buddy? Let's talk wrestling.
So I guess instead of getting to the shows first, we can talk about Scott Hall.
Yeah, we might as well just do that because this is news that's new as of the day that we're recording.
Yeah, and we'll get into Big E once we get into SmackDown. But so Scott Hall apparently suffered multiple heart attacks after he had surgery, but then ended up developing blood clots, I believe, which led to his multiple heart attacks. So as of today, he is on life support after suffering all those. So, yeah, very sad news. Always iffy, I guess, when you hear about people being on life support. You never know which direction it could go. But dude's a legend. I hope he pulls through. It'd be really sad if something were to happen to him, especially after, having a lot of rough years and then getting his life kind of back in order.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm pretty, me particularly, I don't know if it's because I'm the old school guy. This one's hitting me pretty hard. I really hope he pulls through, not only for his family's sake, for his sake. Selfishly, I'm just a big fan of his. Clearly, if you're watching us on video, you guys can see I'm a big, action figure collector, right now. And I was just thinking about this before, just when I heard the news, I was like, damn, how many Scott Hall figures do I have? And I have 2 in a glass case Detolf from IKEA behind me. And then 2 hanging up on the wall, plus a Blu-ray over here. I love Scott Hall. I'm really bummed out about this. I really hope that he pulls through. He's had an amazing life. He's had a hard life. He's done things he regrets. He has an amazing story. If you guys haven't seen any documentaries on him, there's an ESPN 30 for 30. It's kind of outdated at this point because he's doing he was doing a lot better. And then there's the Diamond Dallas Page DVD where that's really about Jake the Snake's redemption, but Scott Hall's tied into that. And then WWE did their version of a release. And Scott Hall's story is amazing. I really hope that he gets out of this because he's done a lot of really cool things and he's had a lot of contributions to pro wrestling, from the NWO to many other things. And we could get into it, how he even gave Sting the idea for the Crow character, but maybe we could get into that at another time. I'm glad you wanted to start the show like that, Andy, because, yeah, man, super bummer. Hope you get better, dude, and we're all pulling for you. So, all right, well, what do you want to get into now? More kind of weekly wrestling related.
Yeah. So anytime we talk about NXT, I always say, hey, we don't really cover it, but when there's something kind of big that happens, we tend to talk about it a little bit. And so this week we had, I want to say Stand and Deliver, but that's actually the next pay-per-view. We had NXT 2.0's Roadblock pay-per-view, and the main event in that was a triple threat match for Braun Breaker's championship. It was Braun Breaker versus Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa. And I don't know how many people saw this coming, but I forget what happened, but Bobby Roode was on the side, ended up pulling Braun Breaker out of the ring. I think it was after Tommaso did the fairy tale ending. And when he turns around, Dolph super kicks him, and Dolph Ziggler is your new NXT champion.
I watched it. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was really surprised. So the question is, where does it go from there when it comes to the match at Stand and Deliver? I mean, I assume maybe just Braun Breaker versus Dolph. I don't know if Tommaso would get added back into that, but I mean, I don't know. I think Braun's gonna get like a big push to the main roster. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if after Mania time he's up there. Guys have been coming up, and he was featured, I think, this week with Tommaso as a tag team on Raw the night before the pay-per-view. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's really I mean, at least they're doing something, I guess, with Dolph. And I mean, Bobby Roode's just kind of there, but I don't hate it. I don't hate that Dolph's the NXT champion, actually. I thought maybe I wouldn't like it, but hey, I'm okay with it. At least it's a guy that I like better than most of the people on that roster right now.
Did that seem random to you guys? Like, because I didn't hear anything about Dolph like even having a chance, and then all of a sudden he's the champ.
I forget what happened. I think there was a qualifying match. Like if he beat Tommaso, he would be in the match, or it was something like that. He won. Yeah. He won some sort of match, and I forget how it became a 3-way, but yeah, I don't know. Just see where it goes. I don't know if it's going to last very long, but don't hate it. I'll tell you that much.
I guess, but before you move on from NXT, because this is going to be the only time I'm going to have to find a space to fit this into the show, and I'll make it quick, is over yesterday I was watching NXT Chicago, and it was like Bizarro World. It was like from like 2016 or 2017. I said to you guys in the group chat, it was basically AEW before it was AEW. There was a match I was watching where JR came out to do special commentary. It was wild. And there was like all these guys from AEW on there, and the hype and the atmosphere. It just made me realize, because we're just talking about NXT and this new NXT and NXT 2.0, just it is so drastically different. Like if you go back and watch a takeover from when they sold out like a big arena where people were on fire and hyped and invested, like
not to mention the wrestling in general was so good on those shows.
Yeah.
Well, those people though, and that vibe, I feel like personally, that's what they went to AEW. Like those takeover people are those people that traveled to those takeovers and spent the money on that airfare to go see that type of wrestling. I think that eventually that crowd became one, essentially, with the AEW crowd. That's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
At least a lot
makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they merged at some point.
That is what I remember from those takeovers back then. It's like the crowd was insane, and like it made the show for those ones.
There was that crossover between Ring of Honor, New Japan, NXT, and like all those people. Not all those people. I'm sure there's people that like New Japan and Ring of Honor that maybe don't like AEW. I don't know any personally, but there's probably a few. But usually, if you like one of those 3 companies or 4 companies, you like the other stuff too. You know what I mean? Like one kind of coincides with the other. It's a particular wrestling style. I don't know. It's just basically not WWE wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you could see the difference with, I remember
bottom line, old NXT, black and gold forever, rest in peace. The shit was so sick.
Last thing I'll say about it is I just remember those pay-per-views would come on like the day before like a WWE pay-per-view, and they always outworked that
Yeah.
the WWE pay-per-views.
Right.
The NXT pay-per-views were always just a lot better.
Yeah, I think every single time when those happened, it was like Takeover was so much better than this.
Yeah. You're like, okay, now I have to watch the WWE one. I already watched Takeover. But let's get into Raw this week. A couple things to talk about. First off, it opened with a triple threat match for the tag team titles. RK Bro versus Seth Rollins versus the Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy are the champions walking in. It was a very good match. It was almost like 30 minutes long, I think. At the end, Chad Gable did a moonsault off the top rope, and Randy Orton came out of nowhere with an RKO on the way down. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That was insane.
Yeah. But your winners and new champions once again was RK Bro. So it looks like they're going to be walking into Mania as the champions. Not sure against who. But yeah, so that kind of crushed Rollins and Owens. I don't know if I said if it was just Rollins versus them, but it was RK Bro, Rollins, and Kevin Owens versus Alpha Academy. But it kind of crushed Owens and Seth Rollins' dreams of being on the show. So we'll have to see what happens with them later. Another big segment, though, on the show was the Edge segment. And I don't know if you guys were able to see it this week, but his music starts. This is, again, the week after he's attacked AJ Styles. So his music starts and it stops. And it's dark. He's wearing a suit. Hair's tied back in a ponytail. He's just walking to the ring, normal speed. There's no video on the Titantron. He's just standing in the ring, and he takes his good old time to speak. And the first thing he says is, "You think you know me?" And then he's like, "AJ, you thought you knew me." He goes on to talk about that what he did last week, he did it for AJ in order to get the best AJ at Mania. But he also says, ironically, you helped me too. He says, quote, "It was like my brain cracked open and finally let the real me free to fly, and it felt so good. A me I never met before, a me I have fallen in love with." So, I mean, look, he's been sadistic and stuff in the past. When he said this, I was like, what do you mean you've never known before? But either way, yeah, I mean, Edge is in full heel mode, kind of going crazy with this whole thing. But I dig it. I like it. Yeah, I wasn't sure how many of you guys had seen it, but it was good.
Yeah, I love when they switch up a character, like their entrance when they turn heel or face. Cause like I feel like it never should be the same one. Because you're
no, it's
basically
very different
a new
than what he's
character.
been doing lately.
Yeah, because that's always cool to see. Because then it's like a full new character, basically.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if AJ wasn't on the show at all, obviously, to sell that injury stuff. But I don't know if he'll be back next week or not, or tomorrow night. If you're listening, it'd be tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Still makes me look forward to the match at Mania. Still excited about it.
Yeah, it was a great promo.
Yeah. Afterwards, Finn Balor was having a match against Austin Theory, and during his match, Damian Priest comes out and attacks Balor. So, as we know, Balor is the United States champion. I'm guessing we're getting Balor versus Priest at Mania. It hasn't been announced yet, but, I mean, you only got a couple weeks. You keep doing stuff with both of them. I think this is what we're getting, which, to me, is fine. I just want Balor to retain it. You know, he gets to walk
Balor
into
better win
Mania.
this, right?
Yeah, I mean, he gets to walk into Mania as a champion. I hope he, gets to keep it as well, though. I don't think he's ever walked in or won a title at Mania.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe he walked in, I think, to Bobby
did you read
Lashley
the
for
thing?
Intercontinental.
Did you just read the thing he recently put out where he said he was hurt that he wasn't a part of Mania?
Who was hurt?
Finn?
Balor last year.
Not part of Mania. Oh, that he wasn't a part of Mania last year?
Yeah, there was an interview that I watched, and we'll go back and do housekeeping next week if I got the date wrong. But I listened to an interview, or I was reading one where he said that he was on a show the night before, being the NXT show, and it was great and awesome. But then the next day, it's WrestleMania, and he's watching, and he said that he was hurt that he wasn't part of the show because he just wanted to be involved, not because, you know what I mean? Not like they did
even though he was in
wrong.
NXT in a big role at the time. That's
but he was like, at the same time, he's seeing WrestleMania, and he's like, I want to be on WrestleMania,
Yeah. Well, I remember he had a great match, the opening match one year with Rollins and Miz. It was a triple threat for their Intercontinental belt.
Oh yeah,
Rollins came out
match.
with like the blue eye contacts from like Game of Thrones, being the Nightwalker.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, right? Like, I feel like, again, I won't go on a big tangent. I just like to throw this type of stuff in just for like food for thought. Like Finn Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and like Roderick Strong. Like, if those three guys went to AEW, I almost feel like that's its final form. You know what I mean? Like any Dragon Ball Z fans are out there. Like, if like everybody finally like lined up into one place, like those would be like the last three pieces because they got AEW has everybody. They've signed.
We just need like Gargano.
Yeah, like Gargano and Ciampa, Pete Dunne, AJ, and and Roderick Strong, and it's like the final.
I'll be like, that's it. You don't need any more. That's it.
And then it's like the final pieces. You got the most stacked roster ever. Maybe Okada comes in and Will Ospreay comes in and do some stuff like insane.
Well, maybe one day. The final segment to the show was a Kevin Owens in-ring segment. He said, since his chances at Mania were done with that tag match in the beginning of the show, he says he's going to have the biggest KO show ever. And he mentions possible guests, Texas' own guests. He mentions ones like Booker T. He mentions JBL, who he calls a blowhard. And then he says, as a Canadian, he can't, out of respect for Canada and Owen Hart, he can't pick Shawn Michaels. So then he starts cryptically basically mentioning Stone Cold by saying it's a guy that drinks a lot of beer and, wears knee braces most of his career. And he talks all about the things that he'd do to him at Mania if he came out and accepted. And then he ends it with, I'm calling you out, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So that's their way of finally calling him out. And we will have found out by the time it gets to SmackDown the answer from Stone Cold. But that wrapped up Raw. So yeah, I mean, we all kind of knew that the Stone Cold thing was happening, and
I'm just glad it's like a KO show segment, not like a actual match for Stone Cold.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they get into it a little bit more.
Yeah,
Maybe it's like a mini kind of match without a referee.
They described it like a fight scene or something, so it is going to be more than just like a stunner and he's gone.
Yeah,
so it'd be kind of cool to see that again.
Yeah, hopefully he does something, but that's kind of cool. I mean, he still technically had his last match against The Rock.
Yeah,
and then he can just come in there and open a can of whoop ass and get out. So.
Well, the last thing also I'll say is Seth Rollins on the other side. Apparently that they're saying it's for Cody Rhodes, like him and Rollins at WrestleMania, but
that's what it was originally. Yeah, apparently talked about was Rollins' opponent was going to be Cody. But I mean, that'd be awesome if it happened. But we'll just have to wait and see. Again, there's still a couple weeks.
Seth,
we're still a couple weeks out.
Seth is the other guy that would need to go to AEW to finish the complete perfect cell final form.
He would never, and neither will AJ.
No, I know. And
Owens would be awesome to have there.
They never will, but I'm just saying, dude, if that ever happened.
Yeah. Like Owens and Sammy, Seth, and AJ would be.
Yeah.
God.
Holy shit. Yeah, it'll never happen. But anyways, hopefully we're looking back 4 years from now and we can say, oh, remember when we said it was never going to happen and they got like the craziest roster ever? That would be sick.
So that wrapped up Raw. Let's get into Dynamite because a lot of shit went down. Dynamite, dude. Tony Schiavone was everywhere on that show.
He was
Tony Schiavone
hustling.
is the man.
He was hustling around.
People say, I'm going to be old school real quick. People say that there's a revisionist history and that Tony Schiavone is overrated and that he wasn't that good on Nitro. Tony Schiavone is awesome. I met him.
He's
Andy
great.
met him. He was the nicest guy. We had a great time and they were hilarious. I love Tony Schiavone. I love that he's everywhere.
Awesome stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was a packed Dynamite, guys. A lot of shit went down.
So much stuff.
So let's open it up with this beginning segment, which is a Chris Jericho segment. He talks about his match from Revolution, and about how he went back on his word about not shaking Eddie Kingston's hand. He talks about how it was one of the, Eddie Kingston brought out the best of Jericho, and I agree, probably his best match in AEW since, getting there, since his New Japan matches.
Dude,
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston is so fucking good. He's so good.
So
Do you think Jericho having his best match has anything to do with him actually getting in shape?
maybe
I think it was a
bit of
combination
both.
of everything. Yeah. Like exactly what you were saying.
But he calls out Eddie so that he calls out Eddie Kingston so that he can shake his hand, and Eddie comes out and he gets on the mic and he talks about how Jericho was right, that he was afraid to win the big one, and the crowd's I think they're saying what, but Eddie's getting annoyed and he hushes this.
There was like
crowd.
a couple of people.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, like basically shut the fuck up. Like I'm trying to be real here. He talks about almost missing the match and because of his demons or whatever, I think. He gets emotional about when talking about the fan fest and like people, coming up to him and how his story really helped them and whatnot. But he also brings up to Jericho what's missing in Jericho that made him not want to shake his hand. He talks about how he respected the old Jericho. And Jericho proved him wrong that, he thinks Jericho's still the man and he's still number one, even though if it doesn't respect this Jericho. Jericho gets back on the mic. He said, Eddie Kingston, I respect you. He thanks him for giving him one of the best matches of his career. And if Eddie can forget about all the other stuff and just shake his hand. So they end up shaking hands, and 2.0 with Daniel Garcia come out and they start attacking. And as they're attacking, Santana and Ortiz come out to help. And Jericho has the bat in his hand, and he's about to attack Garcia, who's being held by Santana. But instead, he hits Santana. Sinclair must have gotten to him, guys. So 2.0 and Jericho start attacking Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. Outruns Jake Hager. He's acting like he doesn't know what to do. But then he joins in on the attack, and Jericho slaps and then hits Eddie with the bat. Eddie Kingston gets powerbombed through the table from the apron, really high fucking powerbomb from Jake Hager. I mean, if you're already standing on the apron and then lift him up and then you're going all the way down to the floor through a table, like Jesus.
And he hit back of his head mostly.
Yeah, it was not a nice landing at all. He was struggling to get him up. Jericho and I think one of the other guys.
Yeah, the 2.0 guys had to help him.
Yeah, had to help him steady him. And so Jericho says this is the Jericho Appreciation Society is their group name. It's two guys from 2.0, Daniel Garcia, Jake Hager, and Chris Jericho. Yeah, a lot to digest there. Look, Eddie Kingston's awesome. That's all I got out of the first half of all of it. We'll have to see. I mean, it's kind of a weird group of people for the Jericho Appreciation Society. That's just my opinion.
It is kind of the same thing we said about the Inner Circle.
This group, though, this just seems like... Again, we're AEW guys, right? Like, I would say that most of our critiques, we're fair, but I would say that, we get more excited most of the time about AEW stuff. But I still like to think that we're fair and, something's just like, like to me, this is what this felt like this group. But like Andy was
Maybe
saying,
it was the name.
the first,
Yeah.
no, it's just
It
like,
was like,
it's like, again, it's just like, why? What's happening? It just feels like they couldn't think of anything else to do. And then Jericho's like, we'll do a new group, or somebody was. But I guess to go along with what Andy was saying, the first half of this, the promo that, if you want to call it a promo, or if he was just talking that Eddie Kingston was doing,
I never know.
dude, he's
I never
so
know.
good. So good. I was like, this guy is awesome. Not only, I mean, he always has a good banger of a match. Like, he's kind of like Mick Foley, where he can work really good. It might not be like the prettiest thing you've ever seen. It's not like you're watching like, like a Seth or a Shawn Michaels or an AJ Styles, but he just does like really solid stuff, and what he does is awesome. So I love Eddie Kingston. I just thought that as soon as Jericho started making the whole segment about himself, I was just like, it lost me. But anything Eddie Kingston was involved in was sick.
Yeah. I would go on to say, like, Eddie Kingston might be one of the best promo talkers.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I wanted to say
Like,
that too.
I think he's better than, he might be better than Punk just because how real he is. And like, I love Punk like more than like anybody else.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I gotta
wearing a
say,
shirt
like
right
he might, Eddie Kingston might be the best. Like when he was talking and he was saying that story, like I don't know why it's not like him and I.
But he was tearing up, man. Everything he says is.
But then it was like hitting me in a weird way, and it's like I don't even like live that dude's story, but it was like hit me. I'm not saying I was tearing up, but I was like, it was like hitting me in the soul. I was like, damn, this is heavy, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, that's when I texted you guys when I was like. When it was hitting me, I was like, God, this guy is so good. I literally texted you guys, and I think I said, I was like, this guy is so good.
Well, as I say, moving on.
Oh, right.
No, it was a very good segment, especially the Eddie Kingston parts. But we'll have to see what happens with the Jericho Appreciation Society, because now literally that's like your character is so
mouthful, isn't
big-headed. Your character is so big-headed now.
Yeah, I don't hate the group. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, but the name could use some work.
Yeah. So yeah, after that we had MJF and CM Punk video package from Revolution from their dog collar match. This led into the first official match of the night, which was Dante Martin versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I had no idea this match was coming. I don't know about you guys, but the winner, it was a good match. I think it was kind of quick though. But Dante Martin, I think, was ranked like number 2, and with the AEW ranking system,
was he?
I think so.
Jeez.
I mean, I think beforehand Adam Cole was ranked number 1, but
yeah.
I mean, as far as win streak goes, I don't know. Scorpio Sky could have been 2. He's like undefeated or something.
He's undefeated for a whole year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But the winner was Hangman Adam Page. Tony Schiavone gets in the ring, and Page gets on the mic, but he tells Dante to get back in the ring, and he gives Dante his respect. But then Adam Cole comes out, and he gets on the mic, and he challenges Page to a 6-man tag match, which I believe is for next week.
Yep.
And he hints at his partners being the Young Bucks, and tells Page to, good luck, find anyone that wants a team with you. And Cole says he won't stop until he hears and new world champion Adam Cole. Baby.
Yeah. Glad they're continuing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This led into the second match of the night, which was Moxley and Bryan Danielson, their first official tag match together. They came out with William Regal, and they versed the Workhorsemen, or at least that's what they're known as on the indies.
The Wake Horseman.
The Workhorsemen.
This was way more
Champions
competitive
of
than I thought it
North.
was going to be. This is
Yeah,
way more
normally
competitive
they're
than I thought it was going to be.
They're part of a group called the Wingmen, which is like 4 other guys, including
The
Dolph
Wake
Ziggler's
Horsemen.
brother, I think Ryan Nemeth. But these 2 guys, Ryan Nemeth is
No.
also
Ryan Ziegler.
Ryan Ziegler.
Whoa,
But
did Jeremy's
on the
power
indies-
just go out? What the hell happened? If you're watching
I'll be right
on the
back.
video, Jeremy just went
Jeremy-
very dark in the room.
Jeremy lives in the dark.
He's in the
Yeah.
doink right now.
Hey, keep going without me,
So
though.
it
I'll
was,
be
it
right
was
back.
the workhorseman. Afterward, so the winners were Moxley and Danielson. Tony Schiavone gets on the mic. I wish he wasn't walking away for this segment because then William Regal gets on the mic. And
Oh man, dude.
this is great mic work by him. He ends the talk with Schiavone though,
This
by
one-
thanking him.
This one
Yeah.
hit me maybe just as hard as the Eddie Kingston one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys might have to fill in some of the details because he did talk a lot. I know the segment apparently ran over, but he ends his talk with Schiavone by thanking him for way back in the day, helping him out, and he actually gets emotional during it. But then he gets on the mic by himself without Schiavone anymore, and he talks about what brought him to AEW. He talks about what about helping wrestlers and meeting Danielson back in the day. And he calls Danielson the perfect wrestler. He says he's exactly everything that William wanted to be in a wrestler. Then he talks about Moxley for a little bit, and he talks about their match and coming out during the pay-per-view at the end of it. And he said that this team is the perfect combination of a team of wrestlers. And he issues a warning to everyone that steps in the ring with them. I'll pass it over to you, Tim, because this was, it was a very good segment. Freaking Regal talking like he's only got a couple years left. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, I
medically,
mean,
but
the way he was talking was super heavy, man. Like, it just had like a very serious tone to it. He had tears in his eyes. He thanked Tony Schiavone for when he came to the United States for helping him in some sort of way. He didn't really elaborate. He just kind of had tears in his eyes and welled up a little bit about it. He said that Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson is the perfect wrestler, and that he's the first guy in the gym, last one out. He'd stay with him all night
for like
talking
8
about-
hours, they said, yeah.
And dude, like, I gotta say, like, obviously I never became like a wrestler, or that wasn't my path, but I always thought in my head, like, that's the type of stuff that like somebody who loves wrestling does. And like when I heard that, I was like, man, like, I've read his book too, but I feel like Bryan Danielson is everything that he just loves professional wrestling. It's so genuine, and you can tell. And the fact that William Regal, who's one of the most respected people ever in wrestling, says that confidently with tears in his eyes, it just makes you be like, whoa, this is like super serious. And then, it's funny.
I mean, he's been having some of his best work in AEW.
I'm just saying, he gave
Danielson.
Bryan Danielson the most props. And then he said a weird kind of like thing to Jon Moxley where he was just, it was like one sentence, and he was just, and I'm just keeping it real, but he was like, man, we basically was like raised to hell together and got under each other's. I was like, and that's all he said. He went on and on about Bryan Danielson. He said like one sentence about Jon Moxley.
I don't think he worked as intimately with Moxley, but I mean, obviously Moxley was in NXT for a little bit, or it was probably Florida Championship Wrestling at that time.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching on video, you guys can see that the lights have come back on in Jeremy's house. I think he's still dealing with some stuff. So, Andy, what do you say we just move on to the next segment here?
That's fine. Well, he's sitting down.
Well, yeah. I mean, once he puts his headphones on, maybe we can ask him what his thoughts are. Hey, there he is.
Hey.
So,
right. Andy
thoughts
just
on the
want
William
Andy
Regal segment.
Yeah, Andy wanted to get your quick thoughts on the Regal stuff.
Oh, I thought that was great. I mean, Regal's promo, like, it's been so long since I heard him actually talk. And so, other than like an NXT, when he's like announcing a match or comes down for something real quick, but this was like a genuine promo, and I was like, it's almost kind of like Eddie Kingston-ish, where it was like real, but it was also storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And
I felt like it was more. It was like 95% real, if anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good, and it was his inaugural promo, but in probably one of the reasons why it went over time limit wise.
Yeah, but also I'm
no.
like, if you do promos like that, I'm like, go as long as you want. I could listen to it and talk for 30 minutes.
Take your time, man. It's all good.
And it was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw that people said there was like health scares for him, or those reports. And then he tweeted out.
That's what we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, he was talking about he's like, I don't have much years left. I was like, God damn, dude.
Yeah, but he actually tweeted out, and he was like, those reports are from like years ago, so he's fine now, apparently.
All right. Well, don't scare us like that.
Yeah.
So after that, we had the Dark Order backstage. Hangman comes up, and he apologizes for Sunday during his match. I guess I missed that part of the match. Did he tell them to basically go away? Did John Silver come out during his match with Cole?
He pushed him, like he wasn't looking, and he just pushed whoever was holding him off of him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Johnny Hungy offers help for the 6-man tag, but Page says that he's already asked. He bumped in Luchasaurus. Well, he called Luchasaurus Dino, first of all, but I guess that's just a nickname.
It's a good nickname.
He bumped into Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy backstage, and they already accepted it. So that's going to be his partner. So we're looking at, we haven't found out yet. We'll get into it a little bit more. We haven't found out yet who Adam Cole was picked. So then we had a match. It was Wheeler Yuta versus Pac. The winner was Pac.
Adrian Neville.
Adrian Neville, yes. This led
I
to
forgot that was his first name, Adrian.
This led to a backstage segment with Adam Cole, Red Dragon, and the Young Bucks arguing in twos between the two groups, and the Bucks say no to teaming. They said if anything that involves Adam Page, they don't want anything to do with, pretty much. And Cole says he wasn't going to pick them anyway, and he picks Red Dragon instead. But he clearly was going to pick the Young Bucks. That's what he was hinting at the entire time. So that's what we were talking about, Jeremy, is that he ended up picking Red Dragon, but that's only because the Bucks, who he had hinted at, said no.
Yeah. That was kind of funny. He was like, they're young. And I'm like, okay, well, the Young Bucks. And then still the Red Dragon.
Yeah. Afterwards,
I was most definitely clearly talking about Red Dragon.
Yeah, it's like, okay. He's like, they know how to party. Like, all right. So then we had FTR backstage. They're talking about they need to do what's right for their family or something like that. And Tully comes in and he says it should be about the championships, not about family. And I think one of the guys from FTR he messes up and he goes, "It's not about family. It's about family." Right?
Okay,
but in the end, they fired Tully.
How they did this, I don't know. I didn't like this at all because it was like a 30-second segment backstage.
Yeah,
like you're
could have
fired.
been an in-ring segment. Like,
yeah.
Could have been a big deal, but no, they fired Tully, and then just camera cuts. Like, all right, no.
Yeah, I wish they would have like fired him in the ring and then maybe had a replacement or just like gone ahead. Because then it's like, either there's a surprise there or they kind of just move on. But it's just, this was like, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if they don't address it anymore, like, that was kind of a waste. But
right, yeah.
All right, here coming up is my favorite part of the night, guys. It was the AHFO had an emergency meeting. And Matt Hardy wants to start fresh and make amends with the rest of the members of AHFO. I think I said that wrong the first time I said the emergency meeting. I think I said I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sick of reading acronyms. All right. Andrade, they randomly just say Andrade wants to fire Matt. He never knew that Andrade wanted to fire Matt, but it's like, all right. Yeah. And Andrade says, "What happened to your suit?" And Matt says something along the lines of, "He's an asshole whenever he puts on a suit." So he wants to take a vote when it comes to voting him out. And he says, Private Party's not going to vote him out. So he puts his thumb up to keep him in. Andrade puts his down to keep or to kick Matt out. And Private Party puts theirs up. But then they slowly turn it behind his back, and Andrade says, something along the lines of, you better watch your back at all times. So then all of AHFO attack Matt. Don't know why Butcher and Blade couldn't vote in this, but their buddy Jose or whatever. Members. Oh, okay. But then why did Andrade's one buddy
he's on the board? I don't know. I have no idea. The storyline makes no sense.
So Matt's getting his ass whooped by everyone. Sting and Darby come out to help.
Why did they come down to help if they just fought Matt the night on Sunday?
Because they don't stand for injustice.
That's right. Yeah.
But the numbers game is too much for Sting, Darby, and Matt Hardy. And then you hear the song "Loaded," which is the classic WWE Hardy's theme song, which WWE did not own the rights to. I think Spike TV actually owned it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And Jeff comes running out, but you can't just book it out there. He has to do his dance really quick on the ramp as he's running. But the crowd went crazy. I was super excited. I think you guys were too, based on the group chat. He goes in there. He takes out I think he takes out the Butcher first, and then he takes out the Blade. He takes out the Blade, then he takes out Butcher.
Yeah.
Butcher's the bigger one, right? Butcher's the guy from Every Time I Die, the band. Which isn't a band anymore, I guess. But takes him out. And then I don't know if he ever touches Andrade, but he ends up doing a swanton bomb off the top rope onto the Blade.
And he looked like he crushed the Blade.
Yeah. Well, he even stood up and grabbed his lower back, fuck.
I'm sure the Blade was feeling it more.
Yeah. Well, I've heard in the past, they call Jeff Hardy the heaviest 225-pound guy that there is, because he
doesn't roll anymore.
Yeah, he used to. He used to roll out of it, and that would hurt his back, which I think he actually did this time. But now he usually just flops. It's just dead weight coming down on you, man. And so he gets up. Him and Matt hug. Matt, I couldn't tell if he was actually emotional or not, but he seemed like.
Yeah, seemed like
it was. And so they're standing across the.
And the memes that have been coming out of that whole thing of Sting being across from Jeff Hardy have been so.
Oh my god!
And then it's just a faded picture of Jeff looking at the camera, crazy from that.
Is that Road to
Impact.
Victory or whatever it is, or Victory Road?
Victory Road pay-per-view. Yeah. It's so bad. It's so bad, dude.
And people are making jokes there's Darby with his two dads and his uncle.
God, dude. But they're staring across from each other. I think, something's going to happen with these two teams. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe Jeff can finally get some redemption to Sting after that. But yes, I was super excited. The rumors had been going around for a long time. I mean, I think everyone expected it, but you don't believe it till you actually see it. And so I was super excited about that.
Yeah. That was an awesome moment. And also when it's his music hit and the crowd popped, I was like, I know everyone knows it's coming, but
yeah. His hair got long. I mean, 3 months has gone by, but his hair was long as shit now.
Yeah.
So after that, we had Shane Swerve Strickland backstage, talking about his debut match that's coming up on Rampage, but he doesn't have an opponent yet. And Tony Nese walks up, and he wants to be Swerve's first opponent. They used to wrestle, I think, on 205 Live a bunch before Swerve was on NXT full time. And Swerve saying he'll kick his ass again, just like he usually did on those Friday nights after Smackdown.
Yeah. Whose house is it, Tim?
Exactly. Who the hell is that guy?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now, moving on to a very good segment of the night. Wardlow is in the ring with Tony Schiavone. Like I said, Tony Schiavone was everywhere. He was everywhere tonight. Look, overall, he basically was saying he was done with MJF, but that was pretty much the summary of it. He was he knows MJF's a bad guy, but he's stuck around. Maybe it's for the money. Maybe it's for, I don't know. But he's tired of it. He's finally free. Yeah, guys, who knew Wardlow could talk? Because if you guys haven't seen this promo, not
That was
you,
great.
Jeremy and Tim, but the people, anyone listening, like, if you have not seen this promo yet, I mean, Wardlow never gets the chance to talk at all ever before.
Yeah, it was not disgusting, I will say.
It's
No.
not disgusting.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
no.
And it was like a lengthy one,
that's
too.
a Parks and Rec line. If anybody listening catches that,
But no, I was very surprised. I'm excited to see what Wardlow does on his own now. I think he, when he first came in, I don't think many people knew who he was unless you watched like AAA. I think he was there before too. But he's actually grown into a future star, I believe, and I think the time was right to finally break him away from MJF.
Yeah, it was great timing. And he has his TNT shot next week.
Yes, against, well, we'll find out who against later.
yeah, we always talk about how stacked the AEW's roster is, but the undercard of the guys that are naturally getting over, like Wardlow. I mean, there's a lot of those guys where there's a groundswell where people just like them because they like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe people started to like Wardlow more and more because they fucking hated MJF.
I just want to kill Sean Spears. I mean, not literally.
Dude, he's gonna go through the pinnacle
not
one by
literally.
one, and hopefully he'll give him the powerbomb of Symphony, just over and over again.
That'd be great.
So after that, we had a backstage segment. It was Keith Lee and QT Marshall. I never know what to say. QT said that he's got Keith Lee's back because Keith Lee also has a problem with people on Team Taz. Keith Lee says, well, my back's pretty big. I think I got it myself. Says something along those lines.
And also, who doesn't have a problem with Team Taz?
Yeah.
They're on like 5 different feuds right now.
So I think on Rampage coming up, did this lead to a match with Keith Lee and QT?
He did have a match on Rampage. Keith Lee did.
Okay. Do we remember if it was QT? I feel like it was. Either way, if that's the case,
it was.
This was the point of that. This was the point of that interview.
It was, yeah.
Afterwards, we had Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed has arrived.
And then when they do this part, and then they're like, "Who wants a scissor?"
Dude. So yeah, from what I remember, it was a good match. Nothing crazy, but good solid tag team match.
I mean, the Acclaimed, I'm loving them every time they're out there, like more and more. I don't want to boo them.
And even their raps, I'm like, fucking killing it.
Yeah.
So after that, we had Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling backstage. This led into a match. Layla Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa it was an AEW Women's Title Eliminator match. Winner is Thunder Rosa, and she was granted. Well, she was told by Tony Schiavone. He tells her that it's going to be a steel cage match, and that's at what's it called next week? St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Yeah,
is the name of the show.
Usually they call it Slam or whatever. Like they call it like a New Year's Slam too, I think, or something like that.
So I think people got involved in Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's match at Revolution.
Yeah.
Maybe she had to lose to lead to something like this. To now, people can't get involved. She can't escape her. Maybe Thunder Rosa actually comes out on top now.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, but that's probably. I mean, I would assume it'd be the main event of the show next week.
Yeah, it has
it's a cage match. I would think so.
That was a TNT title, but I guess one can start the show, one can end it, or something.
True. I mean, Jesus, to open up with a steel cage match.
I know. I mean, that's one way to draw ratings if you want this.
Yeah. So this led into right away Britt Baker backstage talking about the match for next week. And then we got to our main event, which was Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship.
I did not expect a lot out of this at all.
No. Now Tim has sat back down. So Tim. Oh, he has
Sorry.
to say. So Tim, you're fine. So we're just starting the main event, which was Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship.
Mhm.
Yeah. The match was a lot better than I thought it would be. I mean, I don't know why I think that.
Yeah.
I just don't like Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
I think he's great. He's good as a wrestler, but
It's like he's boring.
He's-
I kind of feel.
promo wise, I don't know. I don't like the Men of the Year.
That's
They,
very
they
similar.
do their
to-
job of making me hate him.
Yeah.
That's very similar to how I feel. I mean, in the beginning, I liked him. I thought, oh, this guy
Yeah.
could be a good baby face.
When he was part of a SoCal Uncensored.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, maybe he'll get like that Ricochet kind of baby face vibe.
Well, he did. He won the
Ali.
Face of the Revolution. Like, he was a babyface for a long time.
He kind of has that, like, and look, this is like no disrespect, but like he kind of has that mid card charm, as I like to say, like, yeah, like a Dolph or just somebody who is solid, and the kids like him, and they go out and put on a good match. But yeah, he kind of just like really doesn't do it much for me.
He's a good hand.
No, I can't. I hate saying that. I hate saying that.
I know.
He just is boring. If that's
Yeah.
if that's more mean, then I'll say that. Like this is boring. There's nothing there.
He kind of seems like if you like when you're playing like a wrestling video game and you create a character, it's like generic
he's like
number
character
3.
one.
He's like default character too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this match, Sammy goes. There's a crazy spot. Sammy, and I think we reposted it, I believe, on our Instagram. But Sammy goes for 630 off the top rope onto Scorpio Sky, who's laying on a table down below, and Scorpio Sky moves. Man, Sammy just there's no
Demolished.
give, just crushed.
Yeah,
Just got
I
absolutely
reposted
destroyed.
this clip on our Instagram. Holy shit.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
insane.
Sammy needs to chill with some of these spots because taking time off your career, man.
Yeah, what
As
did he
much as
do
I
at
like him.
Revolution? He did like what's it called? The flip, I forget what it's called, off the top rope, but he did it like off of the stage into a table.
Was it the 630 again?
No, it was like one of those like he holds them up and then they both flip off of the.
Oh, the Spanish Fly.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So, Paige Van Zant gets involved in this match, and not in the match itself, but she attacks Ty Conti, who I think everyone knows by now is dating Sammy Guevara. Conti's on the outside. Because of this, Sammy gets distracted. Scorpio Sky does his finisher, which I think is called the TKO. And your winner and new TNT champion, which I did not see coming, was Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Sammy and Ty get attacked, and Paige Van Zant signs her AEW contract, and they leave Ty Conti laying on top of Sammy. My question is, one, do they take the title off of Sammy so that you have a baby face versus a heel for next week, which is Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow? Wardlow's now, I would consider a baby face. He's
Yeah.
liked by people. And two, does this also set up Sammy and Ty to do mixed tag matches with, say, Paige Van Zant and, I don't know, Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky in general?
Me personally, I don't want to see that. And I know we're talking out of our normal order here. I know normally Jeremy talks before me, but I got to get that out. Like, I don't
Very passionate about this.
I am.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Sammy do that. I don't want to see him do the
Yeah.
thing that like Edge and the Miz do, where like you tag with your significant other for a while. I don't know. It's just like, come on, Sammy Guevara is great. He could. Not saying that that's like a step down from him. I'm sure he'd be excited to work with his lady. I'm just talking about like there's something there. Like, don't sidetrack with this. Like, keep going with what you got because he's awesome.
I feel like he has
Yeah.
momentum,
Right.
And it's just gonna like plateau.
Yeah. That's usually what happens when they do the mixed tag matches. It's like
It's
doesn't do
doesn't
anything
it seem
for
like
them.
because they can't think of anything else? That's what it
Yeah.
seems like to me. They can't think of anything else. So that's what they do.
Yeah. But for the other point, I think Scorpio Sky will probably hold on to the TNT title next week, just because I feel like MJF's going to come out and cost Wardlow the match.
Bingo! He cost Wardlow his title match, just like Wardlow cost MJF's match against Punk.
Yeah.
And then you get a singles program with MJF and Wardlow.
Yeah.
Which we
Can't wait
need.
for that one.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Which, if they do it that way, it makes sense. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
If it's Tony Khan that has been doing this drawn out booking of the Wardlow MJF thing, if he's had it in the back of his mind that this is where he wants it to lead, which we've kind of been vibing and thinking that's where it's going.
It's the longest story ever. It's
Really
the longest
good.
story told throughout AEW. From the beginning, I think they started like with a little bit of friction, only a couple months in.
Yeah.
Wardlow to me has been one of the
Most improved.
Well, he was good in that cage match against Cody. If you go back and watch that, like he was decent back
He's kind
then.
of a pillar as well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
wanna
he's
talk
like
about the
kind of a
pillar?
pillar. He's like the sleeper pillar in a weird way. And I'm only saying this because of the trying to think of the right word. The gosh. I don't even think of I can't even think of the right way to say it, but just like the way he's so passionate and so ferocious reminds me of Goldberg in the way that like he feels like they're
10 times more talented.
right, way more talented as a
Way
worker. No, but like hear me out. I'm just saying like the ferocity and like
Yeah.
his domination, and I think the fans are really latching onto him, and it's been very natural. Like it's been slow. It's been probably 2 years of a natural kind of thing where every week he's a little bit more annoyed and he's more fed up with MJF shit. And like now we're here and I'm like, man, I only think this is like the tip of the iceberg for this guy. Like I think 2 years we're looking back on this guy and he's doing way more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think I agree. But that wrapped up Dynamite. Let's get into SmackDown this week.
Yeah, a lot of
SmackDown
stuff happened
opened
on this show, man.
Yeah. SmackDown opened up with last Saturday. Well, I mean, it would have been the Saturday before we recorded. For last week, but we didn't cover it because no one could see it. There was a show at MSG. It was a big show. Like every champion was there. And Brock Lesnar ended up was supposed to have a match with Austin Theory. I don't think it ever happened because Roman Reigns and the Usos come out and they attack Brock. Brock tries to fight back for a little bit, but is overtaken. Roman, I forget. Does he powerbomb him onto the steel steps? I don't remember.
I think he does.
Yeah, or just Superman punches him, and that's where Brock falls. But
Yeah.
basically, Roman went after Brock at this Madison Square Garden show and beat the shit out of him. So, SmackDown this week opened up with a Brock segment. He said, "You done changed the rules, Roman." He said, "You don't draw first blood on Brock Lesnar and live to tell about it." And he said he doesn't care about WrestleMania contracts. He said, "I don't care about WWE titles." And then he chucks his title out the ring. He said, "I want your blood, Roman." And then Paul Heyman comes out. He tells him that Roman's not there tonight. Paul's going on just keeps talking. Brock tells him, he says, "Paul, shut up." And eventually he says, "If Roman isn't here, who's going to protect you?" And Heyman starts booking it to the back. And Brock books it after him, and they run all the way into the parking garage, and Heyman hops in a car and speeds off. Brock Lesnar's fast as fuck. Or that's one thing I noticed after watching this. Dude, he was so fast. But yeah, they're still building this. Brock came out there, pissed for the attack at MSG, and I thought it was a really entertaining segment. I love it when they open up with. Say it every week. I'm like, love it when you open up with Brock. It's a great opener.
Let's give Brock the mic
Sets the tone for the rest of the show.
It's never
excited
something
for
I
that
thought I would
match.
say is like give Brock the mic, but he's been
Dude,
awesome.
if you asked me years ago, I'd be like, get him off of TV.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
sick of him being around and being champion.
Yeah.
Same thing with Roman. Me and Tim
Yeah.
would always just be like, enough with these two. Like,
Yeah.
But not
and now I'm
this
like,
time.
it's the best. It's one
Yeah.
of the best things.
It's
going on.
weird, right? Like normally by now, if it was Cena or even maybe like The Rock back then, or a JBL or somebody who was in the title picture forever, I'd be like, oh my god, please just do something else. I'm not. I'm like weirdly not sick of it. It's just like more stuff. Like I'm like, maybe it's because everything else is not great, so you're like, all right, this is the best they got, so might as well lean
That's
into
true.
it. But at the same time, I don't know. I think I genuinely enjoy it. I was looking at my DTOF behind me, and I'm going to quick thing about the Scott Hall thing. Actually, there's 4 Scott Hall figures in this glass DTOF behind me. 1 Razor Ramon, 1 early NWO, and then 2 like Wolfpack era. But what I'm getting at here is, man, I think I brought it up a couple weeks ago. I need Cowboy Brock for my modern day shelf, like him with the hat and the flannel. Like I'm looking at it right now, and I got the Roman with the gold glove, and I'm like, man, you just need that Cowboy Brock right there.
Yeah,
like
it
just would fit so perfect.
Yeah, I mean, do you even have space anymore in there?
I got space for like 1 more on that shelf, and I'm not using it unless it's for Cowboy Brock. So Mattel,
all right.
give me that elite, ultimate, whatever you want to do. Cowboy Brock, let's go.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about on this show, and makes me mad, guys. Pete Dunne has gotten his main roster call up.
My
and
boy! What have they
he's
done
teaming-
to my boy?
They've teamed him up with Sheamus and Ridge Holland, and they changed his name.
God,
And his name
damn it.
is one word. Butch. Butch.
Why? Why would you do this?
Why?
They change
You know-
everyone's name all the time when they come up. And you know why? Because Vince doesn't watch the other shows. If you just
Stupid.
change their name when they first come to WWE and Vince was happy with it and you made it that entire time, fine, do it. But when you have them for years and years in WWE as one name and then you change
Right.
it, like when Piper Niven was Dewdrop, or they changed Walter to Gunther, and then you have fucking...
Yeah, that's the
God,
thing.
dude.
They changed Walter to Gunter, so I'm like, why am I surprised that they changed Pete Dunne to Butch? But it's just literally that I can't remember what mafia movie that it is, but he's like, my boy, what have they done to my boy? Dude, that's how I felt.
You know, this makes me think of, like, I don't ever see the bit on BTE where, like, Johnny Hungy is joking with Adam Cole, like calling him Budge.
Yeah,
Budge.
like where he was gonna like change
It's
his
all
name
about the
because-
bud.
Yeah, he's like called him that. I feel like that's
Because
like
they
what
wanted to
happened.
change Adam Cole's name when he
Yeah.
came up, when he was thinking about getting brought up.
Yeah, maybe they were gonna call him Butch, Adam Cole.
Oh my god!
Did he cut his hair, or was it just hidden under the hat?
Who?
Pete Dunne.
Oh, Pete Dunne. I
You know
think
what
it
mean,
was
Butch
under the
or
hat.
Butch.
Yeah, he had
Butch.
it in one of those.
Sorry,
the hats
who's
that
Pete Dunne? I only know Butch.
Yeah, because now their group all wear the same hats.
Yeah,
God.
Or maybe Sheamus wears that fedora. Ridge Holland and Butch have matching hats now.
this was painful.
This led though right into a tag team match of Big E versus Big E teaming with Kofi and Kingston versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus. And at one point, and Butch is on the outside, guys. And at one point, Ridge Holland and Big E are on the outside, and Ridge Holland goes for a belly-to-belly suplex, and poor Big E lands directly on his head. Big E got fucked up.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
no
dude,
way
he
around
might.
that.
I mean, we'll get into it, but like, not just messed up, dude. He might be done. Like,
So
forever.
this is what I'm reading right now. So He has a C1 fracture, which you have a cervical spine, your thoracic spine, and your lumbar. And the C1 is the very top of your spine. And the C1 fracture is the most dangerous, as the top cervical vertebrae is a ring and is commonly associated with immediate death or complete paralysis. Thankfully, the fracture was not displaced and he will not need surgery. However, this type of fracture often heals incompletely, and it may mean the end of his wrestling career.
Sad
His
as hell.
C6 fracture. His C6 fracture is likely a compression injury to the vertebral body, and usually it just takes rest, a minimum of like 3 months, and return to full function activities for that kind of injury. It's the C1 that's the problem.
That's crazy how fast that's going to happen.
Yeah. There's people out there that don't watch and still think, yeah, it's fake or whatever, but what they do, I mean, you get fucking hurt, guys.
Yeah.
And
It was a belly-to-belly
Young.
suplex.
Big E's young. I don't know if you blame Ridge Holland or not. It was a big guy tossing another big dude.
Yeah.
And, you see Big E try to tuck his head in as much as possible, but he couldn't tuck his body in enough, and he landed on his head. It's really sad. I hope his career isn't over, because he had many more years left in a wrestling career. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking up right now. He is 36 years old. I mean, yeah, he had at least
Still
2 more
young.
contract signings. Yeah. So wish him the best. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's
really
so
sad.
it's so crazy. I mean, and the only way I can like relate to it is just trying to think like, because I cut hair, so if like and he's only 5 years older than me, so it's like weird. Like I just think like if I got hurt and somebody was like, okay, you can't do your job anymore, like how scary that would be. But he's so talented and so charismatic and such a great like. I think he's like a nice
I think he
person.
could help in the performance center.
Yeah, like
Worst
at the
case
performance center,
with like
or he's
promo
like a good,
work and like getting your character
Yeah.
development,
or like a good like company ambassador and like do like Make a Wish.
Oh
Like
my God, yeah.
I feel like he, if his in ring career, knock on wood, is I don't want it to be over, but if it is, like I feel like he has so much more to offer. He's so talented.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
I completely agree. So just have to wait and see. But it was a very scary spot. I mean, I think they had to change the finish because of it.
You hate to see it though. Like me and Andy, it's weird. When we were little, we would watch these like crazy Attitude Era ladder matches, and we'd just be like, "Oh, that's awesome," And it's like, I don't know if it's because we're older and we relate that like if you can't work, like you don't make money, right? So like things like hit like a lot harder, and like if you got kids and stuff, especially. So anytime I see something,
they're like considered independent contractors. So if they're screwed, like
yeah. So like anytime I see
screwed.
something with the neck, like especially nowadays, I'm just like, oh my God, it like sends, no pun
anytime
intended,
Jericho goes for the line salt, I get so terrified.
Dude, it scares me so bad. It's just like you don't want to see anybody have this happen, and like this is just one of those things where he wasn't even doing anything crazy. They were on the outside. He was doing a belly to belly suplex. He didn't get, I don't know if he didn't give enough extension or he jumped too vertical. I don't know what happened, but he came straight down on his head, and it just seemed like a freak weird accident. It's just It happened. I watched the video like 10 times and I couldn't even figure out like where they went wrong and what happened. He just didn't fully go all the way over. I don't know how to describe it.
How the fuck did this happen to him and not Madcap Moss over in Saudi Arabia? Madcap Moss was fine. He landed straight on his on his head.
Well, not that. Yeah, it's not that you want it to happen to Madcap Moss. It's just visually the visually the Madcap one looked more devastating. But it's just like weird. You just hit the right spot and like boom.
Same with
like
Lance Archer, that moonsault that he did, and he landed directly on his head.
Yeah.
So we wish Big E the best.
Big E
he recovers.
Best to Big E, man.
So the Usos are out in the ring later. They need opponents for WrestleMania. Out comes Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. And they challenged them to WrestleMania for the Smackdown titles. And Jimmy Uso says that if Boogs can beat main event Jey Uso in a match, then they'll give him the match at Mania. Well, Rick Boogs won, and it's going to be Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs versus the Usos at WrestleMania. One thing I forgot to add, look at my notes that I didn't. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Austin Theory came out this week, and Pat McAfee beat the shit out of him. He hopped over the table, and he took it to Austin Theory this time, to where they had to get separated. But it was fun. Nice little beatdown, because Theory came out and smacked the Theory came out, smacked the headset off of Pat McAfee again. He just was not having it this time, and he was throwing him around outside the ring, and
Cole was like, "Don't do this. Come on, Pat, not like this." I'm like,
and then they made Pat McAfee leave the building for the rest of the night, so it was just Cole on commentary afterwards. But the show, I believe, ended with Stone Cold Steve Austin made a video. He's driving one of his ATVs or something on his property, and it stops. And he accepts Kevin Owens' challenge, said that Kevin Owens has awoken up something in him that he thought was buried for years. And he said, "I don't know why you did it. It's either two reasons. I think he said one of the reasons is you are one dumb son of a bitch." And then I forget what the other one was, but dude, Austin was back in full character. It was cool to see.
Yeah,
he's like whether it's a match, a fight, interview, he's just like trade for it. He's like, "Why would you do that, Kevin? Why would you insult Texas?" He's like, "You're one dumb son of a bitch."
I love, if anybody hasn't seen it, another thing similar to this, nothing ever came of it, but it was for WWE 13, and him and CM Punk did a face-off promo where JR is the moderator in between the two of them while they're talking, and he was great in that too. Like, he put 100%, like it was really going to be a match, and the tension was real. So Stone Cold is freaking awesome, man. Like,
did you both see this video that he posted?
Oh, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
I've actually watched it more than once.
Back in full character, dude.
Yeah,
whatever he does,
awesome.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, he's great.
But that wrapped up SmackDown. I just wanted to mention two things from Rampage. I believe it was the opening match. It was Darby Allin versus Mark Quinn from Private Party. Want to talk less about the match, but more that came afterwards. The winner was Darby Allin, and afterwards, I'm gonna call it the AFO for now on. So Andrade Family Office, no more Hardy in there. They come out and they look like they're gonna do something, but then the Hardy Boys music hits, and out come Jeff and Matt in full gear. It was so weird to see them, full gear, that music on AEW.
So sick.
But
yeah,
I loved it. Nothing happened. There was no altercation, but they came out to basically being like, "Hey, we got their backs if you're going to do anything."
That was like their extreme gear.
I'm still weirdly old school, where to me, like, I don't know if it's other people think it's weird, but when I hear like iconic music from the other show on this show, like even when CM Punk came out, I was like, or Christian's music from TNA, I was like, this is wild.
Bryan Danielson's Fly the Valkyries.
Yeah, or when Nikki James came out at the Royal Rumble, they played the hardcore country song. So it's like, when they do that, it's just that, to me, that forbidden door stuff, like, that's the stuff where I'm like, this is so wild. Like, just to see it actually happening. Yeah, it was cool.
I noticed on the Titantron, though, it just says that the Hardys, so I don't know if WWE as the Hardy Boys trademark.
Yeah, and the video looks like it was made on like Microsoft Paint in like 1998. It's like green.
Well, they have no
flashing.
clips together that they can use that aren't like part of WWE.
That's how Jeff Hardy's entrance video in TNA
was.
Too.
Jeff like this. It was like Jeff like this, like from a photo shoot,
and like some green lights.
Jeff Hardy. Yeah. So maybe they can add to it later. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all the possibilities with those two.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Lastly was the main event of the show, which I only bring up because it was his debut match. I know Tim probably won't care, but it was Swerve Strickland versus Tony Nese. It was Swerve's debut match in AEW. And
look, I'm just keeping it real. Swerve Strickland's going to be my new guy to just mess with because let's face it. Now that Wardlow is going to go do like something actually important, Sean Spears is going to phase out. So I'm not going to have anybody to just be a hater on.
Dude, Swerve has a lot of personality.
Yeah, so
he's not like,
hey, who knows? Maybe he changes my mind and I'm like, I like this guy. I just think it was funny that he came out and I was like, I consider myself somebody who knows a lot about wrestling. And I just was like, who the fuck is this guy?
I don't think you were watching NXT all the time as much.
No, because
before it switched.
In case listeners don't know, over the pandemic, I couldn't do the no crowd thing. Like, it weirdly ruined.
You knew what was going on.
Yeah, I kept up with the storyline,
but like,
it would like weirdly hurt. Like, it made wrestling like weirdly depressing to see like no crowd there. So I was only watching old stuff for a while until crowds came back. So anytime we joke where I'm like, who is this guy? It's probably normally from the pandemic era, and I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, there's very few matches you watched. I think like you watched Walter versus Dragunov. Like there was very few matches that you would pick and choose.
And I watched some AEW, but like what would kill me is like, I try to get into the match and then they would pan over to the quote unquote crowd like they would normally, and it'd be like Billy Gunn cheering in the front row. I'd be like, all right, this is just like taking me out of the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember that first SmackDown back, you actually watched on TV.
I texted you.
You were like, this is amazing. You're like, this is what I needed. This is amazing.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who felt that way.
Yeah.
Is there anything else today that you wanted to go over?
Nope, that covers everything this week. It was a big week. I mean, this is going to be a little longer episode than we normally put out, guys, but there was a lot that went on.
And just one more time, we wanted to, send our thoughts, prayers, positive vibes out to Scott Hall. I know in the beginning of the and Big E, man. Like, I really hope Big E. I really hope that his career is not over, and if it is, I'm sure that he's still going to be involved in some way. I just wanted to say about the social media stuff just real quick, because I know I kind of like blow it off in the beginning of the show, like it's not important, because I'm going to be fully transparent, and I like being fully transparent with the listeners. I don't want to come off as like desperate as like, oh, please go like our page and stuff. However, when you guys do like, subscribe, and leave reviews, it actually does really help us out a lot. So for social media stuff for Instagram and Twitter, it's at the PW Fan. Giving us a follow or just anything, it really goes a long way. And, especially now with the way that algorithms and social media work, on Spotify, leaving reviews, and Apple Podcasts, leaving reviews helps us get more eyes on the product on the homepage. And I'm still very much down to do whoever leaves us the best iTunes review or Apple Podcast review, we will send you a free shirt. All you got to do is tell us what size you would like, and we will make it happen and send it to you. And the only other thing I want to say is, grassroots style, tell your friends. If you got a friend who likes wrestling and you enjoy the show and you wake up and you drink your coffee and you listen to us and you hang out, if you got a buddy that likes wrestling, be like, hey, I listen to these three guys talk about wrestling on Mondays, or their show comes out on Mondays, and that would mean so much to us. And really, guys, that's it for the rest of the week. we will be back next week, and I appreciate you all so much. From Andy, Jeremy, and myself, have a great week, and we will see you next time on the PW Fan.